guys, so it's Winnie from Stakecito, and today we're going to be zooming in on a game-changing protocol, no pun intended, that's been built using the Cosmos SDK, and that is setting a new standard for Web3 applications. I'm talking about none other than the Saga protocol. So what exactly is Saga? Saga is a protocol that's reinventing the Web3 experience by offering unmatched flexibility for its developers and their end users. Essentially, it acts as a catalyst for launching independent blockchains known as Chainlets. It's important to note that launching these Chainlets is as simple and easy as deploying a smart contract. Now, Saga distinguishes itself in several ways, essentially by transforming traditional blockchain economic models. I'm going to touch on them lightly and then we will dive into them in more detail. So one of the ways that Saga is different is that developers of these Chainlets subscribe by paying validators in Saga tokens, effectively renting the infrastructure needed to keep their Chainlets operational. A competitive environment is fostered among these validators who vie to provide top-notch security services at the most affordable rates. The goal of this is essentially to draw a greater number of developers to the Saga platform by keeping the prices competitive. In a significant shift from standard practices, end users on Saga incur no fees to access the network. Instead, developers have the autonomy to select monetization strategies that align best with their applications, ensuring a seamless user experience. So a very big point that's worth noting is that currently Saga's go-to-market strategy is focusing on the gaming sector. However, the platform's capabilities extend far beyond gaming, and Saga warmly invites chainlets of all varieties, whether you're in finance or any other domain where decentralized applications can flourish. I actually noticed that, the way that they had been positioning themselves was not really from a gaming angle, and I messaged Rebecca and I was like, is this intentional or is this a positioning oversight? Because every time I read up on Saga, it seems a bit more broad in its definition, whereas my understanding is that you're focusing on gaming. So it was after speaking with Rebecca that I fully understood that yes, the go-to-market is focusing on the gaming sector, but Saga is way more than just gaming. So yeah, anyways, join me as we further dissect the mechanics behind Saga's platform. Basically, Saga is taking the Cosmos AppChain model to new heights by allowing the effortless creation and deployment of chainlets. Saga's architecture and token design are based on three core tenets. The first one is permissionless innovation. Saga empowers the creation of chains and smart contracts without the need for permissions, unlocking a whole new world of possibilities for developers. The second one is that Saga is focused on user experience. So the protocol places an emphasis on the user experience of both its developers and their end users, ensuring that the interactions with the chain are intuitive and efficient. And I'm going to dive into this as well as we continue. And finally, Saga aims to be economically optimized. By design, Saga offers cost-effective solutions for launching chains, catering to a broader range of developers and use cases. So I've been doing a lot of reading to make this video, and I actually realized I didn't even fully understand Saga, but I now kind of do. And yeah, once I looked at Saga's structure or its topology, I finally understood how it facilitates interactions between smart contract developers and Saga's mainnet. Essentially, in Saga's framework, smart contract developers engage with the Saga mainnet to request the creation of a Saga chainlet. These Saga chainlets are specialized blockchains secured by Interchain security, which ensures that they are protected with the same rigor as the Saga mainnet. So the validators for the Saga chainlets are shared with Saga mainnet, and they are expected to uphold a predefined service level agreement or SLA to guarantee uptime and reliable service. In the event of any SLA violations, consequences, slashing, are managed through the IBC protocol. So yeah, the creation of a chainlet by a developer is a very streamlined process, very similar to deploying a virtual machine for that developer's exclusive use. and various Cosmos SDK modules, including different VMs like EVM or CosmWasm, are available to suit different developers' needs. And so yeah, once the Saga mainnet receives a Chainlet request and provisions it, developers are free to then implement the smart contracts that they've designed, creating a focused and isolated environment for their applications to operate. This kind of topology emphasizes Chainlets as the core of Saga's ecosystem, facilitating an efficient deployment pipeline that integrates with the broader Cosmos network and the larger Web3 ecosystem. In addition, it also ensures that the Chainlets inherit the mainnet security without the need for individual staking tokens. This allows developers on Saga to just focus on innovation rather than infrastructure. And actually, they had a space today where Jin Kwan kind of walks you through the history of blockchains, and he helps you understand how they got to this place where they wanted to build a platform where developers don't have to worry about all these other factors. All they need to think about is the product that they want to build, and then in a few moments be able to deploy it on Saga. So at this point, you're probably wondering, what is the difference between an app chain, for example, in the Cosmos ecosystem, and a Saga chainlet? Allow me to explain. Deploying secure applications on standard app chains has been difficult, slow, and technically complex. Every application has to essentially recruit, maintain, and coordinate between validators in its bootstrapped set. So what does this mean? This means developers have to consider the multi-party dynamics of secure consensus, and plus, every proof-of-stake chain also requires a staking token to secure its network, and some developers may just not need or want to deploy a token. Yeah, so basically the way that it works today is that a project can only launch a chain if they can demonstrate current or future value of their staking token. Otherwise, validators like us, by the way, Stakecito, it's a very proud validator of Saga, so if you hold Saga tokens, come stake with us. But yeah, basically, validators like us will not run any chain without any perceived economic value. This means that only a select number of projects can benefit from app chains and obtain a secured chain environment. So how does Saga differ in all of this? Basically, Saga abstracts away the security, recruitment, and coordination required to build a blockchain, or as we've called them, a chainlet. Developers can simply request block space without worrying about bootstrapping validators, staking tokens, or network value, because all of that is inherited from Saga's mainnet. So if you remember the second tenet that I mentioned, which was usability, or like user experience for its developers and its users, Saga therefore offers significant usability benefits for its developers by giving fast access to dedicated block space. Another difference is when it comes to the test nets. When a developer chooses to deploy their own app chain, coordinating and managing a testnet for new features is difficult because it requires the developer to spin up a whole new app chain manually. With Saga, spinning up a testnet is as simple as provisioning a second chainlet. So we've covered quite a bit. Now I'm going to talk about Saga and the Cosmos Hub and how their implementations of interchain security slightly differ. When you look at Saga and the Cosmos Hub, at first glance, they seem to share a lot in the way that they implement interchain security, as they use relatively similar code. However, Saga's approach to implementing this shared security diverges, creating distinct technical paths. So, when it comes to the Cosmos Hub, governance decides which consumer chain is run by the Cosmos Hub validators. This is specifically necessary because the Cosmos Hub shared security allows for arbitrary Go code to be deployed via a consumer chain. So some form of gating is needed to ensure that the software being run by validators is safe and worth the extra effort for securing an additional chain. Saga functions a bit differently. On Saga, provisioning chainlets is automatic and it's permissionless, which brings me back to the first tenet, which was permissionlessness. There's a catch though. Saga developers must develop using secure smart contract language and deploy in a virtual machine environment audited and approved by Saga. So yeah, when you read their documentation, you'll see that both models of interchain security have different strengths and weaknesses. The Cosmos Hub, for example, offers more flexibility to developers since they are able to deploy almost any Cosmos SDK code. However, deploying and upgrading is a bit more cumbersome and uncertain due to the governance process and the requirements it imposes. Now, when it comes to Saga, Saga currently restricts the developer from deploying any arbitrary Cosmos SDK code. However, deployment on Saga is permissionless, Tenet 1, and easier and faster because there is no governance process to go through, Tenet 2, user experience for developers. Now, as I mentioned at the start of this video, Saga's initial foray into the market has strategically focused on the gaming sector. To carve out its niche, Saga has successfully partnered with over 100 prominent entities within the gaming and also non-gaming industry, a move that not only showcases its commitment to this sector, but also highlights the platform's potential for broader applications and collaborations and use cases as well. Building on the momentum of all of these partnerships, Saga has also launched an ambitious airdrop campaign, power level over 9,000, that I'm very excited about, that is designed to incentivize and reward active participation within Saga's ecosystem. So the mechanics of this campaign are very straightforward, and I've covered them. I'll link to that in this post. Essentially, users are required to stake their Saga tokens to become eligible for the airdrops, and the first snapshot is going to be taken before the end of April. So if you have not staked, by all means, get staking. There are only 21 active validators for Saga, so you don't need to worry about staking with the top 10. They have communicated that you will not be disqualified from airdrops for doing this, so come stake with us. But yeah, this strategy does not just promote the security and stability of the Saga network through staking, it also fosters a deeper engagement within the community. They have a pretty vibrant community, if I do say so myself. I'm part of it. Now, let's quickly talk about what it takes to launch a chainlet on Saga. Launching a chainlet is easy. The developer needs to fund an account with sufficient Saga tokens, and the developer is able to pre-fund as much as they prefer. Now, the Chainlet fee deposit is drawn down like a prepaid account used to pay for Saga Chainlets. Once the fee deposit runs out, the Chainlet shuts down until the developer is able to fund the fee deposit again. So yeah, a few more notes is just that the Chainlet fee deposit account is similar to any other account and is discoverable by the public. And while the developer can manually choose to fund this account, Saga offers some really interesting funding mechanisms that developers can experiment with. For example, developers can stake Saga tokens in the account such that the staking rewards are enough to pay for the chainlets. Alternatively, the developers can allow the community and their DAOs to fund the chainlets. And finally, developers can create automatic transactions that convert other tokens to Saga via IBC with the DEX within the ecosystem. So there's a bunch of different ways that they can play around to fund the chainlets. So I am hoping that this video has helped to kind of just demystify Saga. To be honest, I had a broad understanding of Saga, but once I started preparing this video, it really helped me to understand the dynamics between all the different participants in this ecosystem and also just like the technology as a whole. So I feel like I've covered so much about Saga, and anybody who's watched this video probably has a much better understanding of how the platform operates. I can only hope. And so now it's time to cover the masterminds behind the project. So yeah, let's talk about the founding team for a quick second. So first up is Becca. I love Becca. She's like such a powerhouse and a badass, and she is the CEO of Saga. So Saga is Rebecca's third startup. She was most recently the co-founder and COO at Chainlet alongside Zaki, who's one of the original inventors of Cosmos and who can be found literally everywhere. You go to the Near ecosystem, Zaki's there. You go to Zcash, he's there. He's all over Cosmos, and he apparently worked side by side with Rebecca. Cool thing to note is that under her leadership at Chain, the platform grew to 5 billion plus in annual volume. Becca is currently an advisor to Sommelier, and I guess she's still working with Zaki both on Saga and Sommelier, where she is designing their DAO to optimize for governance, platform growth, and regulatory compliance. Badass. Absolute world-class badass. Anyways, prior to crypto, Becca was an early employee and director of BizDev and head of Asia at Globality, a SoftBank-backed B2B unicorn for AI-powered procurement of professional services. I didn't even know this, but she was foreign policy and tech policy advisor for President Joe Biden's 2020 presidential campaign and Secretary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign. So yeah, she began her career as an international corporate attorney at Caden Arp Slate. I hope I said that right. I'm not actually gonna finish reading that because I honestly don't know how to read that. But she was in her earlier career a corporate attorney. So like her background is just like, I love Becca. So next we'll talk about Jacob McDorman, and he is their Chief Technology Officer. Jacob is an entrepreneur, product builder, and researcher. He has endeavored in growing product ventures of both his own and others for over a decade as a startup founder, development studio owner, and advisor. His bio is a bit more on the vague side, and he's not as vocal in the ecosystem, but you'll find that Becca and Jin Kwan, who I'm about to talk about next, are more, I would say, the public-facing co-founders of Saga. So Jin has contributed to the Cosmos ecosystem since 2018. Again, if you listen to the Twitter space that they had today on April the 24th, he kind of talks about his background, and he's pretty impressive background. He was in the Cosmos ecosystem from the start, and he actually happens to have been Tendermint's chief of staff to the CEO. More recently, he served as VP of corporate development as well as the managing director of Tendermint Ventures. Jin has a multidisciplinary background in engineering, sales, marketing, and finance, and his goal is for Web3 to be proliferated in everyday use cases, and you can see that in their implementation of the Saga protocol. Next, there is Bogdan Alexandrescu. Forgive me if I butcher that, and he is the Vice President of Engineering. So Bogdan is a technology expert and industry leader, a successful entrepreneur with previous startups in technology, fintech, and business consulting. He is founding partner at BlockTech Ventures, a venture capital firm with a focus on frontier technology and blockchain. He is a member of the Bitcoin Foundation and active investor and advisor in the blockchain space. Before joining Saga, he was an engineering leader at Apple, focusing on large-scale distributed computing, machine learning, AI, and infrastructure projects. Previously, he was the tech lead for Twitter ads and research specialist for the University of California. So as you can see, a powerhouse, like a true friggin' powerhouse, is leading Saga on its mission. In the past, I've covered like the price action. I think moving forward, I want to focus these overviews to not really be speculative and to more so be educational and insightful. We can do like on the side coverage of price action. Also, Cryptocito kind of covers that, so no point in me necessarily doing like a deep dive into price and all of that stuff. But yeah, I hope you found this video super insightful. I am super bullish on Saga. I should add, I hold a lot of Saga. So that's just like a financial disclosure that I know a lot of you expect and appreciate. So yeah, I invite you guys to be a part of this movement. You can do so by, participating in staking with Stakecito. Yeah, and we'll keep you updated on all things Saga. That's it for today's video, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.